right, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at the Franklin County Local Food Council meeting as we host the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan of 2017 annual report hearing. So we're honored to have Councilmember Tyson and her office, as well as a wonderful local organizations and community members working in the food system here to present their accomplishments. The Food Council was formed in 2011, and our mission was to expand, strengthen, and maintain a resilient and sustainable local food system in Franklin County. Food councils exist across the country, representing public and private partnerships of stakeholders in the food system, ranging from growers to eaters to activists. Currently, there are 24 local food councils in the state of Ohio. Since the Food Council's inception, it's been advocating for local government policies that support a strong local food system. The council played a crucial role in starting the conversation about the need for a plan through its work in developing the Franklin Food Council local policy audit. So this audit in 2012 was a report that scored Franklin County's food system related policies and programs, and it laid the foundation for the local food action plan in two ways. First, it identified issues in the food system and strategic recommendations for addressing them. And second, it provided a structure and system to build and strengthen important relationships in the food system and bring local government partners to the table. Not working, that's okay. As a result of this report, a few months later, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners adopted a resolution, number 80913, and to support a strong and resilient local food system. So the resolution included a commitment to consider the impacts to the local food system in future decisions and to continue to support the efforts of the Franklin County Local Food Council. In 2014, Columbus City Council member Priscilla Tyson and Franklin County Commissioner John O'Grady partnered to launch the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan, a community planning effort to create a stronger, more sustainable local food system. One unique feature of this plan is the implementation structure itself. It was important to the developers of the plan to have community input during the planning process as well as implementation. The Franklin County Local Food Council, with an interest in food, and the community members who are interested in what the city and county are doing in regards to the food system as a whole. Due to the variety of community involvement in the council, it was a natural fit for the community engagement component with LFAP to be housed at the council. So Franklin County Local Food Council partners work closely with local food team members and regularly attend and provide updates at local food board meetings to keep our work integrated with the plan. And our members make up a great portion of the implementation project teams. So a local food team person, Jaleesa, works with the Food Council leadership and its steering committee to establish and execute the organization's directions and priorities. 3 teams also serve to support the Food Council's missions, as well as our role with the Local Food Action Plan. The campaign team keeps the council informed of and engaged in local, state, and national food policy. The engagement and outreach team works to ensure that the council is connecting with stakeholders throughout the food system and community members around the county. And the mentorship team provides resources and guidance to emerging food-related projects in the city. So we invite all who support our mission to join us, stay up to date with opportunities through the Food Council and the Local Food Action Plan on our listserv, attend regular meetings, monthly meetings, and participate in some of these strategy teams that I mentioned. Get involved with some of our leadership. There's lots of great opportunities. Next month, we'll be hosting a happy hour on August 21st at Zanzibar Brews from 4:30 to 6 for a networking and discussion focused on equity and justice in the food system. So welcome again, everyone. I forgot to mention my name, by the way. I'm Karima Samadi, co-chair of the Franklin County Local Food Council. And we look forward to hearing about all the great food-related work our community has done over the past year. Some housekeeping. Restrooms are to the right of the exit as you exit this room in the back, and they're on the right and left as you exit the front room as well. So thank you and welcome again.
Bear with us for one moment while we figure out what's going on with the clicker here.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I want to say thank you to Ms. Samadi for giving us, really opening up the hearing and giving us a great introduction, so thank you very much. And welcome to this afternoon's public hearing, and I do appreciate us being hosted by the Franklin County Local Food Council this evening. Welcome to the hearing on Columbus City Council's Health and Human Services Committee, specifically discussing the Local Food Action Plan for 2017, the annual report. Of course, I'm Councilmember Priscilla Tyson. I'm chair of the Health and Human Services Committee. I would like to thank you for joining us for the discussion of the Local Food Action Plan. Before we begin or moving further, please be aware that the hearing is being recorded for rebroadcast on CTV, Columbus Government Television Channel 3. The rebroadcast schedule is available at www.columbus.gov. And again, I just really appreciate the work of the Franklin County Local Food Council for hosting us this afternoon. And one of the goals of the food plan is encouraging collaboration and coordination among entities in the food system. And working with the Franklin County Local Food Council is essential to making that happen. I also want to thank Dr. Mashika Roberts for allowing us to hold this hearing at Columbus Public Health. And I want to recognize Jaleesa Dawkins and Cheryl Graffinino, who I know each of you know, but we'll hear from them momentarily for the work that they're coordinating for this hearing. We also have members of the Local Food Action Board presenting today: Ernest Perry, Charles Nabrett, Tony Logan, and Ty Marsh. Also, I know we have another board member in the audience, and that's from Local Matters, Michelle Moskowitz-Brown. So thank you for being here. I'm excited to be here today to commemorate the first Local Food Action annual report. The Local Food Action Plan began over 3 years ago as a joint effort led by myself and also our Council Commissioner John O'Grady, my partner. We knew food was important to the physical and economic health of our community and our residents. In order to address food-related issues, it was also clear that we needed a comprehensive plan that included everyone who contributes to the food system, from producers, processors, to distributors and consumers. The data expressed is a mere compelling narrative about what is happening in our community and the need to address it. What we found out is 1 in 5 children in our community are food insecure and are more likely to experience chronic disease. Nearly a quarter of our residents have had to travel 2.5 times further than the average family to reach a full-service grocery store. Contrast that with reaching a fast food restaurant, which is at a rate that is higher than 40% in some of our neighborhoods. 275,641 Franklin County residents, or 23.6%, have limited access to a grocery store. 72,902 of these residents have been identified as low-income residents. 60% of the residents in Franklin County are overweight or obese. While we know the significance and the impact that fruit and vegetables on public health, it was found that a majority of our residents are not getting the recommended servings a day, and that is 5. Considering the need in our community, in November of 2014, we put together a great team that worked for almost 2 years developing a plan to address these issues. In November of 2016, both the city and the county formally adopted the Local Food Action Plan. The plan includes 4 goals and 27 actions. The goals of the plan are to enhance the coordination and communication among existing food resources and agencies, improving access and education about healthy food, affordable food, and local food, increasing the role of food in economic development, and preventing food-related waste. Soon after the adoption of the plan, the Local Food Action Team got to work on the implementation phase of the plan, and the Columbus-Franklin County Food Board was established, which you will learn more about shortly. So today's hearing, we will focus on what has occurred in the first year and a half of implementation. You will hear about several initiatives in our community, such as the efforts of growers and community gardeners, Columbus Public Schools USDA Farm to School Grant and Ohio Days, Columbus-Franklin County Food Board and projects they are working on, a new market in Franklinton, the Farmers Market in Linden, which has been operating for 3 weeks, and what is being done to address food waste. This hearing is packed with information. With that, we'll get started. So we'll be calling up the presenters. I will now turn it over to Jaleesa Dawkins, and Brian Estabrook will first come up and share information, and then Cheryl Graffinino will be coming up to discuss Goal A. Jaleesa.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Tyson, for holding this hearing. As stated, my name is Jaleesa Dawkins, and I am one of the city employees that has been tasked with implementation for the Local Food Action Plan. And this is my colleague, Brian Estabrook, from Franklin County Economic Development and Planning, and Cheryl Graffinino from Columbus Public Health, and we make up the local food team. We are tasked with facilitating the work of the board in order to implement the Local Food Action Plan. The local food team will take a moment to provide a brief review of the plan. As many of you all know it probably forwards and backwards, we're just going to take a very short amount of time to go over it to make sure that everybody has a common understanding. And then we'll hear about the plan, and we'll hear it brought to life from a sample of those in our city and county who are doing, living, and breathing the work. So the City of Columbus, as well as Franklin County, have always supported local food system efforts. And that is in the form of community gardens, with the community garden grants, food incubation programs, as well as food access programs. So why was a plan actually needed? Well, there was no one plan that addressed the needs of the local food system as a whole. And so this hindered the ability to effectively utilize available resources to increase access to healthy food, affordable food, and local food. The plan is rooted in the belief that all residents of Columbus and Franklin County should have access to nutritious and affordable food. The plan looks to address the inequalities in access to these foods. And the plan is intended to have a set of common goals and actions to align food system work and inform public policy, inspire program development, foster community collaborations, guide local funding strategies, and provide a foundation for grant applications. I will pass it on to Brian, who's going to talk more about the broad vision of the plan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Estabrook, and I work with Franklin County Economic Development and Planning as part of the local food team. And thank you to Councilmember Tyson. Briefly, and I'm sure many of you have heard this enough times, but the vision of the plan, which guided not only the development of the plan, but also guides the implementation of the plan, is as follows: a fair and sustainable food system that benefits our economy, our environment, and all people. And we hope that everything that we do links back into this vision. Councilmember Tyson already mentioned the 4 goals of the plan, but I want to go through them once again for everybody. Goal A is around enhancing coordination and communication among existing food resources and agencies. As Jaleesa mentioned, there are many things, many innovative and interesting things going on in our community around food. This action is about linking those together, about ensuring that there are connections, and about ensuring that people doing similar work are aware of each other and able to work together successfully. Goal B is around improving access to and education about healthy food, affordable food, and local food. And we purposefully separated those 3 different types of food because each one of them requires a different approach and requires different ways to think about how to make sure that that's accessible in the community. Goal C is around increasing the role of food in economic development. And we don't think about food with economic development, but food serves as a driver of economic development. We all eat. Food creates jobs, and many businesses are supported by food and are related to the food system. So we need to think about how that can be better coordinated. And finally, goal D is around preventing food-related waste. Nearly 13% of the waste stream entering our landfill is related to food. And that waste stream can be repurposed, it can be prevented before it even arrives there. So we need to think about all of those things as we move forward. These goals are supported by 27 total actions in the plan that are divided up among these goal areas. And I'm going to pass it off to Cheryl now to talk a little bit more.
Thank you very much, Brian, and thank you, Councilmember Tyson, for hosting this hearing so that we can have the opportunity to highlight the great work that has been done. My task tonight is to help us walk through the different goals of the Local Food Action Plan and talk a little bit about what these goals are intended to accomplish and to talk a little bit about what type of progress we've seen this year. So there's been a tremendous amount of energy across the board in a lot of this work, and we're excited to be able to share it with you this evening. So the first goal that you'll see, of course, is Goal A, which is to enhance the coordination. I'm sorry? Okay. Enhance the coordination and communication across the food system and agencies. So to kind of share with you, one of the biggest factors that we have as part of this is the development of our implementation structure. And so the implementation structure was intended to build the infrastructure that we need to be able to effectively do this work. So many of you are involved in different pieces of this implementation infrastructure, and you're going to see that this process has been very important in our first year in getting this work done. So we realize that it will be best implemented through a collaborative effort that includes community members, city and county government staff, and community decision makers, as well as elected officials. So basically what you see in this graphic is the organizational structure of how this process continues to work. We continue to be a project that is led, that is championed and supported by our elected officials. We're very fortunate to have that relationship with both City Council and the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. Together, those two organizations have allowed us, and those legislative bodies have allowed us to form the Local Food Board. This Local Food Board includes a number of decision makers and influencers in our community who are helping us to move the Local Food Action Plan forward. There are 12 appointed members. It was formed last year, and we look forward to having our board chairs share a little bit more with you about that with you in a moment. Brian and Jaleesa, you've heard a little bit about the local food team. For most of you in this room, I think every face out in the audience is pretty familiar. So not only do you know that we exist, but you know who we are because we're generally in some of your meetings or working with you on a variety of projects. And then, of course, the Local Food Council, which is our community engagement arm that's intended to really help us make sure that the voice of the community is not lost in the implementation. And as we continue to move forward, we'll form more project teams that will do the work of this process. So as we move forward, what our next step is to begin sharing with you some of the work that's actually been done. And so as we move through this process, I'll tell you a little bit about the actions as we go and help you kind of put that in perspective so that this work begins to make sense. So as we take a look at the work that we're doing, I will share with you and get started that Mr. Ernest Perry, he is the chair of our Franklin County Local Food Board, our Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board, and I will have him share with you a little bit about the roles and work of that board this year.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. The City of Columbus and Franklin County are excited to celebrate the vision that you share with Commissioner O'Grady here today, and we see your vision coming to realization in the work that we're talking about. I want to thank Karima and the Local Food Council for hosting this hearing today. And before I get started, I think it's important that I acknowledge and thank the work of Jaleesa, Cheryl, and Brian. Thank you for your service to Columbus and Franklin County. My name is Ernest Perry. I have the honor of being the chair of the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board. We are excited to share some highlights from our work in 2017 and 2018 with you today. So the Local Food Board was established by the Board of Commissioners on November 22nd, 2016. It represents the joint commitment of the City of Columbus and Franklin County to long-term collaboration with private sector and community stakeholders to ensure a stronger and more resilient local food system. The Local Food Board is comprised of 12 members, and they are appointed by the city and the county. We represent a broad and diverse range of experience and expertise on local food issues in the system. So the crux of our work is a local food action plan. As a board, we use that as a roadmap for defining food system opportunities, building consensus around food system strategy and investment, and raising awareness of issues in our community. We are also required to report on this every year, and that's a part of what today is all about. You'll find copies of our annual report on the back table if you don't already have one in front of you. And so a bit about our accomplishments. There are many amazing things that are occurring in our food system, and we don't have time to talk about them here today. And this slide doesn't even begin to capture the investment of time and labor that people who are connected to this plan have put into the community success. But we'll talk a little bit about some of the highlights. As mentioned in 2017, we did a lot of work that was captured in the annual report, and we published that as a part of our mandate. We also supported a number of food-related projects through support letters, advocacy, and just ongoing championing of the work. We partner with our city and county leaders by recommending opportunities for funding food system work, and we sponsored 2 project teams to drive specific strategies and initiatives related to a couple of our key goals. One goal, improving access to and education about healthy food, affordable food, and local food, which Charles Nabert will talk about here shortly, and another goal to increase the role of food in economic development, which Tony Logan will share more with you about soon. And I believe before Charles comes up, we're going to have Cheryl back to talk about Goal B.
You won't see me quite so frequently here momentarily. We'll have a few more speakers in between. But just a brief overview of Goal B as we get started here. As Ernest mentioned, Goal A is really about trying to find the structures, resources, and opportunities to increase that coordination and communication. As you looked at that list of local food board members, I think it became very clear that there is a very broad, diverse group of people, and some of those are folks who might not always be in a room together on a regular basis. Many of us are in the same room day in and day out, but these are folks who have an interest in the food system who might not come together in other places. And so the food board has been an essential component of that in helping us move that work forward, so we thank them again for their time. As we move into Goal B and to hear a little bit about the work that's been done there, I want to reframe and kind of bring you back to the purpose and energy around Goal B, and that is to improve access to and education about healthy food, affordable food, and local food. And as many of you know, I always remind you that that was probably not our most grammatically correct sentence in the Local Food Action Plan, but it was very intentional. And that is, for many of you in the room, you recognize that local food, healthy food, affordable food have differing perspectives for different people. They oftentimes are things that seem like they may not coexist together, and that there is a real need for conscious and intent to bring that work together and to bring the local food advocates and the affordable food advocates and the healthy food advocates all to the same table to work together. And so Goal B is really focused around making space for that work to happen. And so as we look at our 5-year hopes for Goal B, be. We really want to see new access points, new opportunities for education, and we've had a number of those things happen for us in not only 2017, but you're also going to hear a little bit today about things that have happened even the first part of this year. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce another one of our board members, Charles Nabrit. He is also the board sponsor for one of our project teams, B3, which is an effort to begin working to bring together our farmers markets in a more collaborative process and to provide them with a tremendous amount of opportunity, knowledge, and resources to help them all thrive and improve access in our communities. So it's with pleasure now that I introduce Charles Nabrit, and I will see you momentarily when I come back for Goal C. So.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank Councilwoman Tyson for hosting this forum today, and I also want to thank the food team, Brian, Jaleesa, and Cheryl. You guys have done fantastic work. I really appreciate it. As was mentioned, my name is Charles Nabrit. I happen to be a board member of the local food board. I'm also on the Franklin County Local Food Council, and I am currently serving as one of the appointed members who has a personal passion rather than a professional interest in this. So I'm one of those people who was brought into the room who wouldn't normally be there. I am a lifelong gardener, very avid. In fact, I am the president of a local club called the Greater Columbus Growing Coalition. And did I go the wrong way? Yes, okay. We were formed as a nonprofit in 2009 by a group of dedicated community and individual gardeners who had a passion about local healthy food and wanting to improve access about that. So our mission statement directly aligns with Goal B, so you can see why I would be excited about being given the opportunity to participate. Over the last 2 years, our membership has doubled, and that is due to a lot of factors. I think there's more attention paid to farmers market and local food, but also I think it's due to the work of the local food team. Some of our activities that we're best known for are flower drops around the city of Columbus. That's through a partnership with Strader's Nursery, and we're very happy about that. But we also host monthly meetings for our members where we discuss things that are of interest to fellow gardeners. A lot of us are sort of down in the weeds, literally and figuratively, so we don't always think about sort of how to address problems that may be common to all of us. We also support a lot of local resources for gardeners, trying to point them in the direction of where they can go next. So we provide We Dig Ohio scholarships at the Franklin County Conservatory. We also provide 10 $250 mini grants to our members to get started with gardening projects. We're participating as a community liaison in the Buckeye ISA program to help a cohort of families with young children under the age of 8 grow in their home and then eventually have the goal of selling to OSU directly. And then we are also excited to be working with OSU Extension, not just to do soil testing, thank you, but also to do classes on site at some of our gardens. GCGC got involved with the local food action plan because I don't want to say because I complain a lot, but they came to our meetings. We had a lot of opinionated members, and they did ask us about some of our concerns. So I really appreciated the local food team reaching out. I appreciated them reading the pages and pages of emails that I sent back as feedback. So thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. GCGC was then asked, as a result of all of that feedback that we had, to get some representation on the local food board. So for that grammatically incorrect sentence, I am pretty sure we're responsible for that. I apologize. And we've been working with the local food team to advocate for the needs of gardeners. So one of the reasons soil testing is so important is people want to know that the food that you are offering them is safe. And if you can say, yes, I've tested this food, they're more confident. Another large hurdle is general liability. This is preventing a lot of our community gardens from being able to participate in the emerging farmers markets that are around the city. We have been working to overcome that sort of obstacle. This year, GCGC was able to get general liability insurance for our members, which allows us to sell at farmers markets that we sponsor, so we're very excited about that. We'll be at the Linden Farmers Market. I know I shop there individually, and we'll also be at a number of other markets here in the city in the next year, and we hope to expand in 2019. My work on Action B3 was as the board sponsor, and we were focused on improving access to and education about healthy foods. This is also something that directly aligns with my personal passions. We talked with local experts like Jamie Moore and Michelle White, who I'm sure you'll hear more about in just a minute. Okay, I see it. In the future, the Farmers Market Management Collaborative will work to help farmers markets coordinate. Currently, we have a lot of farmers markets. They are not always in the inner city. They're not always necessarily where emerging needs happen, like in Northern Lights. We feel that with this farmers market initiative, we'll be able to coordinate that effort so that we're not competing for vendors, but rather sharing the wealth, increasing demand, and hopefully increasing access to economic opportunity for members of our community. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michelle White. I'm with the Ohio Farmers Market Network. Again, I'd like to echo everybody's thank yous to the local food team, Councilmember Tyson for hosting us, and all their support and work that have gone into the local food action plan already. So just a little bit of background about the Farmers Market Network. Our mission is to support and strengthen farmers markets in Ohio. We were founded in 2008 as a nonprofit. We were formerly known as the much harder to say acronym Farmers Market Management Network, or FMMN. So after a vote, changed that to OFMN, a little bit easier to roll off the tongue. We represent the interests of farmers markets throughout Ohio, as well as their managers and producers. Our network works collaboratively with market managers, producers, municipalities, and related agencies to identify common goals and align resources when possible. In doing so, we address the concerns of markets large and small, representing urban, suburban, and rural markets and producers. We are an all-volunteer board made up of market managers and producers. We host an annual conference that's focused on networking, education, and training. As well as quarterly regional meetings with market managers to share resources and best practices. Our vision for the future is we are working towards growing sustainable markets with profitable farmers and food producers throughout the state. And to that end, I'll pass the mic off to Jamie Moore to talk about the USDA grant we submitted in May to further that work. Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle. So on May 7th, we submitted an FMPP grant. We love our tongue twisters, don't we? The Farmers Market Promotion Program grant, entitled Growing Central Ohio Markets Through Public-Private Partnerships, Planned Growth, Professional Development, and Collaborative Branding for Farmers, Food Producers, and Market Managers, with the goal of increasing consumption and access for locally and regionally produced agricultural products in Central Ohio. Simply put, our goals are training, marketing, and analysis. This grant submission directly supports the implementation of the City of Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan. The award we will be notified in September, and if we are not awarded, which we're pretty confident we will be, Action B3 project team will reconvene to identify alternative funding sources. And I will turn it over to the next.
And hopefully we'll be very successful in getting that grant because it will certainly support our farmers markets in a significant way. So thank you. And now we have Erin West from the Community Development for All People. She's the Healthy Living Director. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to share, I'm from Community Development for All People. And our vision is for a whole, healthy, engaged community where all people are empowered to pursue their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And we believe where lives are transformed by faith and trust, and personal fulfillment is experienced through the abundance of God's love and grace. And in order to do that, we do that through collaborations with key strategic partners to improve the quality of life for all residents of the South Side through individual and community services. And you guys represent those partnerships. So thank you very much for that. And I'm here to share a little bit about, and I hope I know which one of these to do. There we go. Okay. The All People's Fresh Market opened on March 8th, and basically we seek to provide delicious, fresh produce free of charge. And we seek to build a healthy community by increasing access to fresh food and engaging people in healthy living activities ranging from nutrition, cooking, exercise classes. And we do this by providing produce, meat, and bread. Anything that spoils, basically. So that sounds strange, but it really it gives you an idea of what we offer. We're located at Parsons and Whittier in the South Side. And the fresh produce is being provided through Mid-Ohio Food Bank, local grocery stores, and a variety of community gardens and nearby farms. And we seek to provide the educational opportunities through Local Matters, Sprouting Spoons, and OSU Extension, among a lot of other partners throughout our community. Okay. And here's just some stats related to our market. We have given out over 28,000 pounds of fresh food weekly. And we have served since the beginning of the year 4,723 households. And we find ourselves serving 2.5 times more people in the 6 months that we've had so far from last year in 2017. And it's about 250 households per day that we serve. And Matt Habush from Mid-Ohio Food Bank shared recently that we are now the #1 food distributor through their network. So it's been quite a surprise for us. We didn't expect such support. This is just a map that shows you where people are coming from to experience the fresh market. And there are many ways that the All People's Fresh Market intersects with the local food action plan, the B goals and also the C goals. But the one I wanted to point out especially was C7, which is repurposing a vacant commercial, industrial, and residential site. And I can show you a picture of that. Okay, so here's was a drive-through beer store, and we transformed it to the fresh market. And received a lot of support through both the city, Mid-Ohio Food Bank, and many other people to make that possible. Here's a picture of what it looks like inside. Our future plans involve investigating ways to compost organic waste, increase the amount of produce for members coming to the market later in the day, because we might get 10,000 pounds of produce in the morning, and then by the end of the day, the shelves are have less on them. Obtain a shipping container for outdoor storage, so if anybody knows where to get one, let me know. And then source funding and instructors for additional health and wellness classes. And we want to form support groups for weight loss, diabetes, things like that. And then we want to continue planning monthly events. So we're very excited about what the future holds. Here's my contact information. And if you're interested in volunteering, or if you're able to provide support, either financial or know-how for these future plans, I would love to get to know you and just reach out to me, and I appreciate the opportunity to share this story with you.
So yes. The first question I have is that I'm looking at the service distribution. So you can live anywhere in Columbus to come to the fresh market?
And I believe it is the interest of Mid-Ohio Food Bank to replicate this model in the future. But right now, anyone can come as long as you're below 200% of the federal poverty guideline.
Thank you. And the other question is, as you just mentioned, you serve 2.5 2.5 times more people in the first 6 months than you did in all of 2017. And what do you attribute that to?
I think people are excited about the new model, and I think the word got out when we did the grand opening, so people are like, oh, what's happening there on Parsons and Whittier? And then I think the word is getting out because there's a lot of variety. It's like a grocery store, so you can really, get a whole basket of food every day we're open, so it's pretty exciting.
Do you have to make an appointment to come?
No, it's just like a regular store.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Certainly thank Pastor Egger for this work, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is going to be Joe Brown from Columbus City Schools, the Food Service Director, and Kristin Peters from the Franklin County Public Health, the health educator.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us, Councilwoman Tyson. Also, thank you to Brian and Jaleesa for your support. Cheryl, we consider her part of our team. So I was debating whether to call her out at all because she's just part of us, but we certainly couldn't do what we do without her help, and we really do appreciate that. We have the privilege at Columbus City Schools of being able to support the children of our community. And we as a district have a mission in doing that, but from our standpoint, there's countless studies and everybody knows that a well-nourished child is better prepared to learn. A lot of our children don't come to school that way. So we take that very seriously, that it's an opportunity for us to make sure that even though they might not arrive that way, once they get there, we can help make sure that they're ready to go.
Hi everyone, my name is Kristin Peters and I work for Franklin County Public Health. So part of our mission is to improve the health of our communities by preventing disease, promoting healthy living, and protecting against public health threats through education, policies, programs, and partnerships. And Farm to School aligns perfectly with that. So what Joe and I have in common is the Ohio Days My Plate, My State program that started in Columbus City Schools at the beginning of 2017. So this is a Farm to School program, and Farm to School enriches the connection communities have with fresh, healthy food and local food producers by changing food purchasing and education practices at schools and early care centers and education sites. Farm to School empowers children and their families to make informed food choices while strengthening the local economy and contributing to vibrant communities. So Ohio Days My Plate, My State is a program that features one meal a month served in the school cafeterias that is entirely grown, raised, and or processed in Ohio. So we are serving students local and healthy food while at the same time providing educational resources and technical assistance to go along with this program.
So what are some initiatives that we've done where the Local Food Action Committee has contributed? One of the biggest ones is we were able to earn a USDA Farm to School grant this year. What that grant has done for us, and we call it bigger procurement, smaller bites. We at Columbus City Schools go through a lot of apples. The number's about 3 million. So kids love apples, they eat apples, but if you've ever watched a little kid eat an apple, they typically don't eat the whole thing. They'll eat a half of it, a quarter of it. The rest of it gets disposed of. Now, if any of you ever have children, seen a child, borrowed a child, anything like that, and you give them sliced apples, they'll eat everything they take and they'll take more. But we don't have that capacity right now. This grant has given us the ability to be able to do that type of work. That, in addition to our Ohio Days My Plate, My State, and the ability to bring more local foods into our schools, is what we keep building upon. So how did they really help? What was the big connections? A lot of it is we didn't know who to talk to. We didn't know who to go to. We knew we wanted to bring more local foods in. And if there was a farmer up here right now, they'd say, hey, we wanted to provide local food, but we didn't have a connection. We didn't know how to get a hold of each other on both sides. They really helped with that, and that made a difference. Technical expertise, anything from the grant to kind of building those connections or figuring out how best to work with each other. Also educational and promotional materials. We have a number of we teach students. So in addition to providing those local meals, let's teach them how local meals are better for them, how they're more healthy, how it's more sustainable, those types of things. So they've helped with those types of resources as well. What's next? We need to continue to develop supply chains. How do we get more people involved? How do we have more local food? Production capability, more food. Processing capability is probably one of our biggest challenges. We're limited in how we can process food in our schools because of the model that we have. Farmers are limited in what they can do in their field to be able to produce those items. So somewhere we need processing capabilities to be able to meet in the middle. And then finally, grow district participation. And that participation isn't just within Columbus City schools. Kristin has been really good about growing it to other school districts outside of ours, and we expect that growth to continue as we go.
Yeah, we, along with Columbus City Schools, Upper Arlington and Bexley schools participated all last school year. We are looking to get more districts on board this coming school year. So we look towards you, all our advocates, with the Local Food Action Plan to help with that recruitment if possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions. Well, one is a statement. I'm so excited about the USDA Farm to School grant, the bigger procurement, smaller bites. I talk about it all the time because I agree, small children certainly don't bite into apples, but when you have them slicer, a $100,000 grant that we received was made so that young people will have the opportunity to eat those fresh apples, but also they can have, carrots and they can other vegetables that are hard for children to eat, and so you can introduce those to our children. And then, so I'm just so excited about that. But the other is that what do we need to do in order to increase district participation? And how do we also have, I know we have it 1 month a days, Ohio Days, My Plate, My State, pretty much 1 day a month, right? What's required for us to have it more than 1 day a month?
You want to take the first part?
With recruiting more districts on board, so we've been really lucky, with Joe as a food service director and some of our other schools, the food service directors have really stepped up and have volunteered because it is not a mandatory program by any means. But, just getting schools informed that a program like this exists, so that awareness piece and just showing we're overcoming the challenges together and we're learning and growing together and that it is possible. If the largest school district in the state of Ohio can do it, we can get some of our other school districts on board.
And they're coming.
They are.
The other thing as far as the My Plate, or the once a month My Plate, My State, so right now the thing that limits that is really enough products and supplies, but I'll tell you, that's a twofold approach we're doing. My Plate, My State, Ohio Days gets all the publicity because it's once a month. We build posters around it. We have educational materials around it. That's the publicity arm of it. We also have incorporated more local foods into our regular daily menus. The apples example, and you know this firsthand, a couple years ago when it came up to me and said, how many apples are you getting from the state of Ohio? My answer was like, I don't know, but I'm sure some of them, right? We grow a lot of apples here in the state of Ohio. The truth was they were all coming from the state of Washington, and we had never asked. So by asking, now all of our apples come from the state of Ohio, not just on Ohio Days. And by the way, they're fresher, they taste better, and they're less expensive. So it's a win across the board for us.
Okay. So. All right. Thank you, Joe and Kristin. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Dr. Angie Lee, representing the Lower Lights Christian Health Center. She's now the Chief Strategy Officer. Good afternoon.
I know you're all wondering out there, I'm from Lower Lights Christian Health Center, and how did we get to a grocery store? Well, let me tell you, you see our mission up here, and it really is providing a full-service medical home. We are a medical home. In Columbus, we have 6 sites. Our largest site is located in Franklinton. And in Franklinton, well, let me say, we care for about 14,000 patients a year, all ages. from prenatal through the older population through death. We have these 6 sites in Columbus. We have a 7th one in Marysville, Ohio. But our largest site is located in Franklinton. You hear a lot about Franklinton and all of the development that is happening in Franklinton, but I like to say we're in the true Franklinton where the people live. It starts at 315, runs down to 70, it goes over to McKinley Avenue, it goes to Mound Street, and the only grocery store in that area is about 1.25 miles away on Mound Street. Now that's fine if you have transportation, but many of our people in Franklinton, they ride the bus, they ride a bike, they walk. So that 1.25 miles becomes a problem. The other thing to understand is that we care for adults have probably the 5 most common chronic diseases: hypertension, diabetes, obesity, respiratory. You can go on with these, and they all have the common element of one of the treatments is nutrition. But we really didn't have the adequate nutrition. We have fast food heaven down the way about 1 mile where you can get a lot of food, but not what we wanted. We were not able to get a grocery store. Our CEO worked to try to get, we contacted the large grocery stores, independent, individuals, everybody, and they said, no, we just don't want to come to Franklinton where we are. So finally we said, then somebody's got to do it, and it better be us. And because of people like the Action Group and you, Priscilla Tyson, and so forth, we were able to move ahead. We've been about 1.5 years on the project with the grocery store. We have built it based on 3 strategic pillars. One is nutrition education, that's the major. A second one is workforce development, and the third one is for it to become a social destination. Anybody can shop in this grocery store, and we like to say it's the market with a purpose, and it has that pay-ahead model. So we opened in May. We have about 3,500 square feet downstairs, and we have a for-profit arm that is run by Milo's Catering and Cafe. Probably all of you have eaten at Tommy's Diner, and this is a relative of Tommy's, it's his son. And having that for-profit arm, as they do well, we get a small percentage of the earnings, so that helps to support our nonprofit grocery store. And we have been very happy at this point. We are located right in the heart of Franklinton. You can see our hours. We accept all programs such as SNAPs, whatever. We purchase from Mid-Ohio. We purchase from Franklinton Farms in numbers of areas. We're very cognizant of reducing waste, so we get many of our products from the local people that we purchase. I will say in that 1 minute, workforce development, we've hired 7 individuals and they all have ties to Franklinton, which is exactly what we wanted, including the general manager who, because of her mission, left the management of a large giant eagles to come and help us here. The third area of social destination we hope to start in September, bringing local talent in, appreciating the people of Franklinton. Maybe there's an artist and so forth, and have monthly free programs. The nutrition, we have a dietitian. We see our own patients can come in, anybody can come in. We have a collaborative with a dietetic internship program at Ohio State. We have people there, nutrition, that they can come in and talk about it. So I want to thank the collaborative. Please, I want to thank you so much for being there. And the opportunities in the future, one of the obstacles that we will manage, but what we've got to do is to get the word out. And people, there's no newspaper there. Lots of publicity, but if you don't really watch television, you don't read a magazine. So we've been going door to door, and we're starting the social destination. And lastly, we're doing surveys. What do the people want? Do we have what they want? And if they don't, we get it. For example, the very last thing was last week, somebody said, we want avocados. So this week, we have avocados. So thank you very much for the financial support, for your support, and for that of the organization. Thank you.
And again, thank you, Dr. Sheila. You have certainly been working in the Franklin community for a very long time. Thank you for your leadership, and this store in the community is not just a store, it's a destination place. And just really appreciate your leadership. And anyone can go and shop at 1160 West Broad Street. And I want to thank all the presenters who have just shared their shared information regarding the success of Goal B, education and access to healthy food, affordable food, and local food. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in our food plan.
Told you I'd be back. So my job now is to help kind of redirect our attention now to some of our projects that have been focused on the role of food in economic development. And as we wrote this goal in the Local Food Action Plan, we knew that we needed to look at access, we needed to look at education, but that there was also a place for food in our community to be part of community revitalization, for it to be part of economic development, for it to be a way for people to begin to supplement or add to or even begin to be their sole source of income. So as we put the plan together, we recognized that we really needed to focus on a stronger market for food businesses through an enhanced local food supply chain that connects the producers, the processors, distributors, and buyers. And Joe Brown pointed out exactly, we have a large institutional buyer, we have some challenges, and we're trying to solve those issues. We wanted to make sure that our residents in our community have more employment and job training opportunities through local food businesses. And we're fortunate that we'll have Landon Adams share with you a little bit about how that has played out in Linden this summer. And then, of course, revitalizing our communities through the development of centralized neighborhood food marketplaces, which again, you'll hear a little bit about that today. So while we still have work to do in this area, there is a tremendous amount of energy and some great synergy that's come forward. So I'm pleased to share the podium now with Tony Logan, and he is one of our board members as well as the co-chair. So.
Thanks, Cheryl, and hi, everybody. I'm Tony Logan, and thank you so much, Councilwoman Tyson, for convening this meeting. And I also have to give a shout out to Jaleesa and Brian for all the work you're doing. And the clicker is right here. Nope. There we are. And that's me, so there you have it. In any event, I'm here to say a few words about the work of the C9 Project Committee, but because the term C9 was, let's face it, lame, we're calling ourselves the C9 Action Team. Action Team. And Jaleesa is working on outfits as we speak, I guess. Our C9 Action Team is really all about connecting new and startup neighborhood food businesses with the sort of flexible financial and technical assistance, resources, and options that can help them to succeed. Our team is a top priority of the food board that Ernest and Charles serve with me on, and our team, our goal is developing a suite of business and financial resources that will be made available to both existing and startup food-related businesses and growers. And we're calling these resources the Food Business Financing Toolkit. We're also working with the USDA and OSU Extension and scouring the public resources for public domain for technical resources for farming and food businesses, which we'll pull together into what will eventually be a digital technical resource manual available as well. These resources will be expansive, but also user-friendly. They'll be covering everything from grants and microloans available to students and new growers to commercial financing for food-related businesses and larger food processors. Our C9 team, and for our efforts for the C9 team planning, we're drawing on the expertise of volunteer community experts, including Bricker and Eckler Law Firm, Council of Development Finance Agencies, Columbus Department of Development, ECDI, that's the food folks, and OSU Extension, OSU InFact, and the Small Business Development Center, as well as Huntington Bank. We hope our resources will be available in terms of the toolkit and technical resources by mid-2019. How do you get involved? Just by showing up, that can help. We actually, part of our effort in formalizing the report, these reports that I'm talking about, involves a lot of shoe leather. Brian is going out into the community and actually interviewing interested stakeholders. And sorry about this, Brian, but he'll come out and interview you if you think that you can provide some keen insight into this process. We want something that's relevant to everyone. And you can also share your knowledge in other ways and send Brian an email or Jaleesa. If there's an area you think that we need to look into, please let us know, and we'll make every effort to do that since we still have the better part of a year to get things pulled together. But also stay informed. The work that the Food Council is doing is very germane to what we're doing, and they are providing necessary input into our effort. And so show up and participate and keep on growing. That's what you need to do. Thanks a lot, everybody.
For your leadership. I am going to also suggest another department from the City of Columbus to participate, and it should be the Department of Building and Zoning Services.
That's good. We could maybe use a little tweaking in the zoning code to help to promote agriculture in the city.
That's exactly right. So
Appreciate
I think that you have to put them on, they should be put on that team. And you can contact Director Messer, and he can certainly provide you with people on his team to be able to help you with this goal. All right, thank you. Our next presenter is going to be Landon Adams from the Linden Farmers Market Manager. Good evening.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Landon Adams, and I have the pleasure to serve as the market manager. There we go. Pleasure to serve as the market manager for the Linden Farmers Market. Let me begin by expressing my gratitude on behalf of what I like to think of as the Linden Farmers Market family, our volunteers, our vendors, our customers, and our community members at large who participate in the market. Councilwoman Tyson, to you for your leadership, and to each of you who have and continue to do the important work that you're doing around food. We are entering our 4th week, which is surprising that we are almost sort of a calendar month in already, and we continue to see positive growth around the farmers market. We're open every Sunday from 1 to 4 at 2830 Cleveland Avenue, which is just about 2 blocks north of Weber Road. We've seen between 300 to 500 customers each week, all coming from areas within Linden and across the Central Ohio community. One of the needs that we are trying to meet with the farmers market is both accessibility and affordability. To that end, there are kind of any payment option that you need available at Linden Farmers Market, not only kind of the standard cash and credit or debit, but we do also participate in the SNAP program, WIC, and the Matching Produce Perks program. WIC has distributed approximately $850 in vouchers for fresh fruits and vegetables that can be used not only at the Linden Farmers Market, but throughout farmers markets across the city during this season. And shoppers have cashed in about $100 a week in SNAP benefits and then $100 in the matching produce perks. We do not really track individual vendors' kind of profitability each week, but our vendors have across the board said that their success and bottom line in Linden has been some of the most profitable in the farmers markets that they participate in. On the ground, our local community partner in Linden is the Community of Caring Development Foundation, which is a nonprofit arm of the New Salem Baptist Church. We kind of came together in an unusual partnership. The church has its own community garden and is expanding that. Tim McDermott, through the OSU Extension Center, kind of put us in touch with Jamie and Michelle, who have kind of been my farmers market big sisters. And really ask us if we would be interested in kind of shepherding this project in Linden. We are each week kind of incorporating new partnerships. New Salem does a community dinner each Wednesday, and so there's been some talks with Local Matters about using some of the produce that comes from the farmers market on Sunday with our free community dinner on Wednesday, so we can promote even in the neighborhood this notion of farm-to-table eating. Again, one of the commitments that we had were our vendor base. We are excited that we've got 17% of our vendors from Linden, 26% are led by people of color, almost 40% are women-owned, and then again, almost 40% sell produce. Again, in just kind of week 4, we are really excited and blessed by the success we have seen. There are always going to be challenges for a new market, but because of the partnerships and the commitment that people have made around the city, we have been able to see some unusual success early on, but we are hopeful that we will continue to see that and last well through the honeymoon of the Linden Farmers Market. Thank you.
Thank you, Landon, for the presentation. And just want to mention that we are pleased with all the farmers markets in the city of Columbus, and we want to be supportive of them all. And I truly appreciate the unique partnership to bring this farmers market to fruition. And I definitely have to thank the Ohio Farmers Market Network, because we would not be able to have moved the garden, this farmers market, into a community this quickly without your support. Our goal is that, because people have been asking and calling, well, what about our community? Why don't we have a farmers market collaborative there? Why don't we? And so we piloted it in Linden. There was certainly a significant need in Linden. But we also are looking at this as, again, as a pilot, and to see how do we continue to have, based upon the success of this market. Cheryl's already saying it's a great success. We're continue to wait through the numbers and move forward. But again, in terms of community, it's been a success. Again, I think the vendors are very happy. And again, we appreciate the partnership, and we look forward to, based upon this particular garden and what we can learn from farmers market, what we learn from that will help us to determine, how do we support other farmers markets in the future. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Yes, this was definitely a place where we had a great opportunity to bring a number of tools partners together and actually begin to create some of the work that will help us implement Action B3. So all of that work that went into writing the grant, to doing those things, much of this work in trying to figure out what's the model that's necessary, what type of tools are necessary, what type of support is necessary to help a market grow in a neighborhood is really being tested in this model. So I'm excited, but they tell me I'm not allowed to get too excited until the end of August. But still more than I anticipated, so they've done a great job. I will now take a moment to transition over into the fourth and final goal of our local food action plan, and that is the goal to prevent food-related waste. And we are extremely fortunate in the Central Ohio area to have our partners at SWACO be engaged with us in this process. Ty Marsh is part of our board. Kyle O'Keefe was a key member of our working committee in creating reading the plan. And so I'm very pleased to share the podium with them tonight and ask them to tell us a little bit about the plans of SWACO. And ultimately, all of us are working towards the goal of reducing the amount of food that enters the Franklin County landfill as food waste. So I will turn it over to Ty and Kyle to tell you a little bit about their work now. This button here, as I failed to tell everybody.
Thank you, Cheryl. Councilmember Tyson, first of all, thank you for your leadership and vision on this very important issue. To the local food council, to my fellow members on the local food board, and Chair Perry, and also to the fellow citizens who are here tonight. My name is Ty Marsh, and I'm the Executive Director of the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, better known as SWACO. With me is Kyle O'Keefe. He's the Director of Innovation Programs for SWACO, and he's going to go into detail about our food waste initiative. But before he does that, I'd like to provide a bit of context and overview as well. As SWACO's mission, and sorry, I got to put the glasses on. Our mission is to improve the community's solid waste stream through effective reduction, recycling, and disposal. And a very important component of disposal is diversion, which is the recycling and reuse of materials in the waste stream. Our focus on diversion is for 3 reasons. 1, there is economic opportunity in that waste stream. 2, there is environmental effectiveness in how we divert that waste stream. And 3, there is a social accountability in our efforts to recycle and reuse. In Franklin County's waste stream, food constitutes 13% of the total waste stream. And that equates to over 150 tons of food that goes into the landfill every year generated by Franklin County residents and businesses. Of that amount, though, only 6% is diverted, when the average rate in Franklin County for diversion is 46.5%. Clearly, there is opportunity. Clearly, there is need for more prevention and more diversion of the food waste. And so we're pleased to participate in putting together the Food Action Plan, and that food waste is recognized as one of the goals within that plan. And so here's Kyle O'Keefe to give you more details about this new startup initiative. Kyle?
Thank you, Ty. Good evening. My name is Kyle O'Keefe. I'm the Director of Innovation and Programs for SWACO. Today, we're really excited to share with all of you that this year, starting in September, we'll actually be launching a new collaborative effort to address food waste throughout the city and the county. And we're calling that initiative the Central Ohio Food Waste Initiative, which aims to reduce food waste and leverage it as a resource and a benefit for our region. And there are really 2 main initial goals with this effort. First, to create a food waste action plan. Very original name, I know. The food waste action plan will be holistic, really focus on the hierarchy of preventing food waste, recovering and distributing edible food, and recycling food through composting and other agricultural uses. The plan will also be used to kind of support a lot of the work underway already, all the great things, some of which you heard about tonight, but also to formulate and launch new initiatives, programs, services for the public and our businesses. And we'll be generating this plan with input from the public as well as key stakeholders throughout the region. The second initial goal is to, in parallel with the plan, actually conduct a feasibility study on a composting facility that would be capable of collecting and processing food scraps generated in the region. This is currently one of the biggest limitations to diverting food waste in Franklin County. And the study will look at the conditions necessary to have such a facility here, such as partnerships, the benefits of diverting food, and what it would take to make that work. As you all probably know already, that food-related waste is one of the 4 main goals of the local food action plan. And all of the work that we'll be undertaking will align directly with the items and recommendations already included and kind of reinforce these goals throughout the region. So we plan to kick off this effort very shortly. Actually, this September, we'll be launching these efforts to formulate the plan and the study. And we hope to have everything completed by the first of the quarter in 2019. So really, we invite all of you to participate in this process, and we look forward to combating food waste throughout Franklin County. You can find more information on our website, swaco.org, and sign up for our newsletter to keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty and Kyle. And as you just heard, that they're going to have their Central Ohio Food Waste Initiative plan. And so basically the fourth goal that we have to looking at food waste, that they've just taken over that goal and in a positive way, and will ensure that helping us to reduce food waste in our community. And I thank you, Ty, for your leadership. And that's why it was so important to have this great board to help do this work. Thank you for your leadership. And so now we're going to have some invited guests to come up to the podium and share some information. And the first person to come up is going to be Casey Hoy. Hi, Casey. And he's going to talk about NFAT.
Thank you, Councilwoman Tyson. You're so welcome. I'm Casey Hoy. I'm a professor at Ohio State University. I hold the Kellogg Chair in Agricultural Ecosystems Management, and I'm also the faculty director for the Initiative for Food and Agricultural with a capital C transformation. So the acronym is INFACT. Wrong way. This is our vision, and as you can see, it's very well aligned with the vision that Brian shared a little bit earlier. So there's a lot of alignment with the local food action plan. This is a major initiative at Ohio State University. It starts with 30 new hires across the entire university, and of course a lot of work expected as a result of that and the kind of capacity that we're building. Dean Kathan Kress, who's on your board, is the lead dean for the initiative. But given this alignment between the local food action plan and our vision, I'd like to share a couple of projects that we're working on that are both supported by and also support the local food action plan. The first one was prompted by a sustainability goal that Ohio State set a couple years ago, that by 2025 we would acquire 40% of the food that's served on campus from local and sustainable sources. That's a pretty lofty goal and really quite a challenge, but it's also pointing a lot of economic opportunity at Ohio producers. So we received a grant from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation to point some of this opportunity at neighborhoods that really could use some opportunity. The way this project works, we're calling it the Buckeye ISA, and that's a flip on the more common CSA, where you have one farm and many customers. Here we have one big customer with $30+ million of food purchases per year, that's Ohio State, and many producers. And what the Kellogg grant will support is a support for building this network of small-scale producers that can then aggregate their products and sell to Ohio State. The way the project is working out is that we at Ohio State are doing some of the coordinating, keeping the information flowing, making sure that people have what they need. And when I say we, I mean Angela Latham, who's all the way back in the corner, who's the program coordinator for this project. And I assure you she's not shy, she's very capable, and she is the one that keeps the wheels turning on this project. We're also working with our colleagues in Franklin County Extension, Mike Hogan and Tim McDermott, who are providing training for producers, particularly on the production side. Nationwide Children's Hospital is helping with biometric screening to make sure that this project actually is supporting the health of the participants and their children. And as Charles mentioned earlier, the target is households with small children in the household, who can then produce and have some economic benefit coming in from the sale, but also an improved diet in the home. So we're checking to make sure that that's actually working out that way. And then the folks that are doing the recruiting and the mentoring of those participants are partners in 7 different organizations and individuals around the community. And if you are part of one of these organizations, would you just raise your hand? Because I think it's about half the room. Thank you. So there are a number of our community partners are here, and they're the ones that are really helping to keep this project going. There's another group, including Local Nexus, Brian Williams, Bryn Bird of Bird Haven Farms, and Charles with the Greater Columbus Growing Coalition, who are helping with the business plan for this project. And the business is challenging. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome to actually accomplish this. It hasn't really been done before anywhere else, and we hope that it'll be successful and replicable. But this is what it looks like on the ground. It's families and children in a garden with hands in the soil. This was on the south side with Bob, some of the early planting that was going on this spring. Tim McDermott sharing his knowledge, but also people learning from each other and children learning from grandparents. So if we can create a situation where people are getting some economic return for this activity and their children are getting a healthier, I think we're taking a step in the right direction. I want to share just one other project, and this is built on a National Science Foundation grant, and it's about building smart food sheds. The idea here is if you could really collect all the data around the food system, from before production all the way to the health outcomes after consumption, and put that together, could you answer questions and take a big data approach to a smarter food shed that works better? Our partners in this project, it's InFact here and a partner in the College of Public Health, Ayaz Haider, partners at the UC Davis College of Agriculture. They're working with Sacramento, which has also recently launched a local food action plan. So I don't know if you knew you had a sibling city doing this, but Sacramento is doing the same thing. And we'll look forward to connecting some of these. But here we're focusing on Columbus, Ohio, and the Columbus Local Food Action Plan. So this idea that the Local Food Action Plan could be a springboard for grants, it's working. And we really appreciate the partnerships that really make these projects work. And hopefully these projects also support the success of the Local Food Action Plan. Folks like this are at the table at all of these meetings in about half the room. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Casey. I should have asked you, Casey, if there are communities that would like to get involved in the Buckeye ISA, can they still do that? And how would they do it?
I'm going to go back to that initial slide. So all of these organizations on the your left-hand side of the screen, Parsons Area Merchants Association, Franklin Farms, Greater Columbus Growing Coalition, they're the liaison with the participants. So any of those groups could help people get involved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Mike Hogan. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson, and for convening this hearing and for your continued leadership around this issue in our community. I think about the last time this group was together in a setting like this was about a year and a half ago when you held hearings for adoption of the Local Food Action Plan. We really need to celebrate as a community the progress that's been made. Just listening to everyone today is incredibly inspiring, and we should be proud of that as a community. You heard Casey talk about some of the commitment of the Ohio State University to this plan and to the food system development here in Central Ohio, and I thought what I would do is share with you some other initiatives that we've been doing primarily through the Franklin County Office of Ohio State University Extension. During the past year, we've tried to align most of our work around the food system with initiatives, with recommendations of the Local Food Action Plan. So I just want to share with you some of the things that we've been doing over the past year. Many of you may be aware of a program that we teach, about a 12-week course to help increase the number of urban food producers and farmers here in Columbus, called the Master Urban Farmer Program. This past year, we graduated 44 new graduate graduates of that program. And Councilmember Tyson, we'd love to invite you back to once again this year award those diplomas to those new urban farmers. They really appreciate the connection to stakeholders like the city and the county. Those 44 graduates started 6 new urban farms in Columbus this spring. So we've got 6 more urban farms this spring than we had last year. We are up to this spring 30 urban farms within the city limits of Columbus, and that's up from about 4 or 5 urban farms just 5 years ago. And the public is really starting to, I think, get engaged with these farms as well. None of us in this room will see it, but at 5:30 today on Channel 6, they did a news feature on urban farming here in Columbus that we taped this morning at Freshtown Farms, one of our newest urban farms in the Southern Orchards neighborhood on the south side. And then if you listen to WOSU Radio this morning, we had a very nice long 4-minute segment on the same topic, urban farming here in Columbus. And so if you know of folks that want to be urban farmers, want to be urban food producers, or start food-based businesses in an urban environment, our next class will start in September. I've got brochures that explain it, tell you how to get signed up on the back there. There is a cost involved. It's a 12-week course, and we do a bus tour to urban farms in the city, a day-long tour, but we also have scholarships. We turn no one away because they don't have the economic ability to go ahead and pay that fee. We're also in the middle of doing our yearly Columbus Urban Farm Tour series. We've had 2 of them in the past week. We've got 3 or 4 more yet. These brochures are in the back, and please help yourself. Take as many as you'd like to give out to folks that you know. In extension, the way we get paid is the number of trees that we kill because they're a renewable resource. So I always come bearing cases of paper, as most of you know. We also have done a lot of work around youth, school gardening particularly. We do an annual school garden conference. This past year we did a school garden tour for teachers where we loaded 30 teachers up in a bus, took them out to some of the school gardens we work with and showed them best management practices on how to start a school garden and how to operate a school garden. Casey mentioned the IS8 program. Just since March, we have taught 28 different workshops for those different community liaison groups around Central Ohio, and that project is really going to be gain steam. This is the first year of that 3-year project. The last program that I'd really like to mention is one kind of our unsung heroes, I think, related to food system work here in Columbus, and that's our Master Gardener Volunteer Program. Here in Franklin County, we have the largest Master Gardener Volunteer program in the state. We have more Master Gardener volunteers than any other county, even including other urban areas like Cleveland and Cincinnati that have been at it longer than we have. And over the last about 7 or 8 years, the work of our Master Gardeners in Columbus and Franklin County has really transitioned. Where many of them started out to work with ornamental crops, 80% of all the work of our Master Gardeners in Franklin County now revolve around food crops and food system development. They provide leadership for a lot of our community gardens and a lot of our educational programs around community gardening. Last year, they provided 14,429 hours of community service in Franklin County, which is amazing. They also produced last year more than 5 tons of food that they donated for food security. The year before, it was 6 tons. I think we actually produced more, Charles, but we're just not doing as good a job record keeping, so we bought some more scales this year, and we're going to do a better job record keeping because I know we're producing a lot more food than that. We have 8 new community garden projects this year led by Master Gardeners. They range from very small projects like a very small demonstration garden at the Reeb Center that we started to teach the Boys and Girls Club members about gardening and nutrition to some larger fruit parks in 2 places in Columbus. I'm going to recognize there's at least, I noticed at least 2 Master Gardeners here in the room, so I want to recognize that. In the back, Suzanne Moeller, would you please stand, one of our wonderful Master Gardener volunteers? And also Diane Katanaga is one of our interns this year. Please stand and be recognized. They're a great group of people. The last thing I'll share is just to kind of give you an update. We broke ground 2 weeks ago at Waterman Farm for our new Franklin County Extension Center. This will be a state-of-the-art, really national leading center of urban extension education around food system development and research beyond the borders of our building. It'll be an exciting time, and about 14 months from now, we'll be in that facility. So thank you again for your leadership, Councilmember Tyson.
Don't step away, because I know you are holding up all these brochures and it says brochures in the back. But for those individuals who are not in this room, but will be on our viewing and listening audience, can you please give a phone number or email address or a website for them to be able to gather that information?
You don't even have to write Down on every one of those brochures back there is our website, my email address, which is just hogan.1@osu.edu, as well as our office phone number. There are also back there new updated local foods guide.
Not here.
Oh, I'm sorry. So just hogan.1@osu.edu. If you'd like to call, it's 614-866-6900, and then it's just franklin.osu.edu online.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's wonderful to be in a city where we have a partnership with The Ohio State University. And Michael, thank you for your leadership, and you show up, you're everywhere in regard to this topic. So thank you for your leadership. And our next speaker is, hi Amy, Amy Basks.
Good afternoon. I have the auspicious honor of being last on the formal program, so hopefully I'll be both enthusiastic and brief and hold your attention while I share information about Columbus Produce Perks. My name is Amy Boddicker-Baskus, and I had the pleasure of serving on the working committee with many of you in this room to develop the Local Food Action Plan, and I'm thrilled today to be here to talk about its implementation in all the many ways. I also am a member and a past chair of the Franklin County Local Food Council, and it's really exciting to see the developments our Food Council has had in regards to the Local Food Action Plan. So thank you to the leadership in the front of this room. I won't repeat your names. You've been thanked by everybody today, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak here today and for the body of work that we have presented and shared. Produce Perks Columbus is a 5-year-old nutrition incentive program, and that means that we provide $1 for every dollar spent by SNAP customers to buy fruits and vegetables at 14 participating farmers markets in Central Ohio. This means that SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps, SNAP customers receive up to $20 extra for every dollar that they spend from their own benefits at our participating markets. This doubles their shopping power and increases the amount of money that farmers bring home. So rather than a produce giveaway or free food, we enable SNAP shoppers to use and stretch their benefits while keeping or improving farmers' bottom line. We are part of a statewide network. ProducePerks.org is our website that operates in over 80 locations and to increase affordable access to healthy food for the 1.4 million Ohioans enrolled in SNAP. Over the past 5 years, we've grown our impact over 250% in Columbus alone and 450% statewide. In 2017, in our last full year, over 1,300 SNAP households from 84 zip codes utilized Produce Perks in our 12 Central Ohio markets. 118 farmers took in $41,310,000 in sales generated from SNAP and Produce Perks. That's $41,000 in produce being consumed by thousands of Columbus area families and $41,000 additional dollars to our local growers. And this has a ripple effect, as we know, in our economy. USDA estimates that every dollar spent in SNAP creates $1.80 in local economic activity. And dollars spent at farm businesses and local grocers lead to more jobs and infrastructure investments. And stronger local farm businesses mean that more local food is available for outlets beyond direct markets that's called for in this plan. In 2018, we've expanded the number of markets that we're in, and we are increasing the dollar amount that customers can spend at the market up to $20 in our match per market per day. And on the statewide level, we're piloting retail and prescription models as well. Produce Perks supports the Local Food Action Plan's vision of a fair and sustainable food system that benefits our economy, our environment, and all people in our community. Our work touches on all 4 goals of the plan, and particularly, and obviously, I think advances Goal B to improve access and education about the health about healthy, affordable, and local food. We are grateful to the City of Columbus and Franklin County for your investment, as well as your collaboration, and to the continued support of everybody in this room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy, for your leadership for the Columbus Produce Perks, and certainly providing us with the data to show the ongoing benefits of the Produce Perks program. And thank you again for your leadership. We now will open up the floor for some public comments. And we have, let's see, we have 3 speakers. The first is going to be, sure, is Corey Roscoe. You can come over to this and state your name and who you're representing, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, well, thank you, Councilmember Tyson and distinguished members in this room. My name is Corey Roscoe, and I'm here not only as a resident of the City of Columbus, but as the Ohio Director for the Humane Society of the United States, a national animal protection nonprofit. For the past 3 summers, I've been fortunate enough to have a garden plot on Mound Street in downtown to the Franklin County Community Garden Program. I have a 4-foot by 8-foot garden plot, and has brought me great joy over the last few summers. So I want to thank the county for that opportunity. Not only am I able to experience the joys of gardening in an urban setting, but I'm able to help offset my own personal household budget. Last year I didn't have to buy lettuce for 5 weeks, so I was very proud of that. So I just want to thank the Franklin County for that opportunity. They provide the garden plot, space, the water, and we as the gardeners do the rest. We have built community. I see Rob or Thelma, and we say hello to each other. So it's really brought a feeling of well-being to downtown community residents. When I have told the people in my apartment building about it, or rather bragged about it, they were unaware. So my encouragement is, as you continue to implement the goal of B5, which is to allow more people to grow their own food, to add more garden plots to existing community gardens, add more opportunities for people like me who don't have houses, or opportunities to garden at home, and also to robustly promote that these garden plots are available. Again, the people in my rather large downtown apartment complex were completely unaware of the opportunity. Okay. So that's my first recommendation. And then also, we do know that our increase in our overall consumption of plant-based foods will help impact the greater public health. And hearing the statistic that you opened up with, that less than 25% of adults in Franklin County consume the daily recommended amounts of fruits and vegetables. We know that studies have shown that reducing meat consumption can help weight management, prevent and reverse some types of diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and some cancers. In other words, let food be thy medicine. More and more plant institutions are recognizing the power of plants. Kaiser Permanente released a plant-based diet booklet, and their nutritional update for physicians published in the Permanente Journal both state that cost-effective interventions to improve health outcomes may be best achieved with a plant-based diet. Of course, we know that this diet also helps reduce animal cruelty and aids our environment. So the Humane Society of the United States encourages the City of Columbus and Franklin County to embrace the growing lean and green movement, promote Meatless Mondays in our schools, our workplaces, and in our homes to help facilitate better health outcomes for all members of Central Ohio. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming down and sharing your testimony and giving some suggestions to us. Thank you. Our next speaker will be Michelle Moskowitz-Brown.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Tyson, my local food board members, the food team, everyone assembled here today. I hope I can share a couple of additional things. I mean, there's been so much great work presented tonight, so it's a little bit hard, but there's 3 specific goal areas I wanted to focus on. Many of you know Local Matters. Our mission is to create healthier communities through food education, access, and advocacy. So the 3 goal areas I'll talk about are also B goals. The first one is B12, which is supporting nutrition education, expansion of nutrition education and food system education in pre-K through 12 curricula. Local Matters in the past year has expanded our work with Columbus City Schools. We work at 15 schools with a 24-week curricula, and apropos of some of the comments tonight, our curricula increases significantly students' willingness to try delicious foods. It helps them prepare and cook those foods together, and it also helps them develop self-efficacy in making food choices. The Food Matters program supports 5,000 students annually. And Moeller Elementary and Linden Early Childhood Education Center are a great place where this work happens year-round. And we also wanted to thank Councilmember Tyson for recent support due to a gap in funding we had there. We just started a new harvest days, so during the summer, families can come and harvest from the school gardens as well. And finally, we're drafting a brief on nutrition education, so this could further provide direction on policy. So there's a lot of creativity and investment needed in this goal area, and we're looking forward to seeing it come through to fruition and action pretty soon as the next priority area. The other goal is supporting a development, it's B9 action, supporting development of comprehensive network of educational resources and infrastructure. So in addition to our work in schools, we work with all of the 4 major health systems in Central Ohio, so that's Nationwide Children's, the OSU College of Medicine, Ohio Health, and Mount Carmel. Particularly at Mount Carmel, I see some colleagues from the Healthy Living Center. We are working to integrate that education from doctors to their patients to community. And if you don't know Casey Slive, she can tell you more about all the great work that's happening there. And then finally, Action B10, which was around engaging those most impacted by health disparities in developing and implementing culturally appropriate food assistance, education, nutrition, gardening, and cooking programs. Prior to the food planning process and then all throughout the food planning process, Local Matters was engaged with the city with neighborhood-specific solutions. And as you might expect, those solutions varied widely from a grocery store, Go Jubilee on the west side, to better communication on the west side. New Americans in Northland wanted to grow more food, and they're getting to do more of that. And then on the south side, education was a major priority. So we're seeing a lot of partners today coming together to get that work done. So that's exciting. And we're committed to focus projects in each of those neighborhoods and other ones as well. And then finally, another significant collaboration that we have is with the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department. We have 12 sites with them. That work goes on throughout the summer and throughout the year. So we're working to supplement those education sites with also cooking demonstrations at all of the produce drops. So that's happening year-round. You can look at our website, localmatters.org, to find out where all of those events are. And then finally, those are 3 of the 6 actions we're working on. If you'd like to work with us on it, or you already are, please find me, Noreen, or Sarah after the meeting. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And I just want to share that certainly as we began to think about having a food plan in the city of Columbus, that one of our great partners certainly was Local Matters, that they went out and talked with our community members to gather information from residents in those neighborhoods to find out, just to gather lots of information about what's currently going on in their neighborhoods in regards to basically food access in our community. And so they've been a huge partner of ours and just really do appreciate their leadership. And again, what this hearing is really showing is that even all the information that has been shared today, which I really appreciate everything, and we're gonna continue to move forward with another speaker. But I wanna say this, that what's important to me is that we begin to collect as much information as we can to show the success that we're having. And again, what we just heard from Michelle, that's additional information that she is demonstrating the success of their nonprofit to our plan. And we have to make sure that we are trying to include as much as we possibly can to be able to have a robust report with all the great partners here of what we're doing in Columbus, Ohio. And they say that, well, my next speaker come up, but I say that because we have to always think about helping our community to be better, but also it's important that we leave a legacy. We want to be able, so we heard what San Francisco is doing, but I'm pretty sure that we're probably doing more than San Francisco. And so I just want to be able, we're going to share with them what we're doing, and hopefully as partners throughout the country, we could all continue to improve really the goals of our local food action plan. And so in 2017, that no one has stated this, the American Planning Association gave this plan the National Planning Achievement Award for the best practice. So we won a national award based upon this amazing work. And so I want to say thank you for the work that you're doing, Michelle, but for all the work that each of you are doing in very different ways to make sure that we're continuing to focus on the local food action plan. And so, again, thank you. We have one final speaker before we end the hearing, and the next speaker is Kate Hodges. Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to speak. My name is Kate Hodges, and I co-own the farm Foraged and Sown in the North Linden neighborhood. I speak here again in support of the local food action plan. The action items identified within the plan help to address important issues in the city and county. There have been great achievements, like you just noted, since its adoption, yet there remain many opportunities, particularly in the areas of the plan addressing local food production. As you've heard, the City of Columbus, Local Matters, Mid-Ohio Food Bank, OSU, and other entities have put a lot of money, at least $900,000, and time into plans to increase the number and productivity of urban food production sites, particularly in areas of the community in greatest need, like the North Linden neighborhood, where I farm. These entities, as Casey Hoy mentioned, aim to empower citizens to grow food at their homes, hopefully producing enough to sell the overage for profit. My farm, co-owned by Rachel Tays, who can't be here today because she's on vacation in Maine, lucky her, is in its 5th year of production. We've achieved organic certification, maintained profitability, and earned several national grants. Our path to success is one that many of these burgeoning urban agriculture training programs mentioned today emulate or aim to emulate, and one that local produce delivery systems such as farmers markets count on, yet we've faced countless regulatory setbacks. I'm glad to hear today you publicly declare the need for zoning revision and present an actionable direction that building and zoning join the C9 team. It's imperative that they contribute materially to addressing producer concerns within the existing aggressive published C9 timelines. We all realize that not every part of this comprehensive local food action plan can be enacted at once. So it's great to hear for the first time today that the city agrees that growers must also be actively supported. This must be figured out before a new wave of local food producers is trained and sent out into the city through the INFACT program mentioned. Our farm and others like ours will benefit most from a comprehensive agricultural overlay permit, one that gives explicit permission for produce growing, construction, and operation of hoop houses like those funded by the Mid-Ohio Food Bank, and the like. My farm would happily work, and I speak for Rachel also on this, on the development of such a permit that allows us to do the good work that we love of local food production without constant regulatory repercussions. Action towards code progress soon will honor the vast investments made by the funders and community members in this room. So many people have worked on this plan. In order to preserve local production of fresh, healthy food like we all want, we all must keep top of mind that local food does equal local food production.
Thank you, Kate, for coming down. Absolutely. So I have asked, because now I chair the zoning committee, the Building and Zoning Services, that we work with Cheryl, and we can certainly put a team together to discuss any of the issues that our growers are facing, that if you're growing in your own community. There are, there's not consistency yet. I'm just being honest. I think consistency in the plans for our growers in our neighborhoods. We need to have a consistent, everyone's working off the same plan. And so they've heard that from me. We will bring together a team that will work with Building and Zoning Services to be able to address those issues. Because if we're going to ask individuals to be able to be a part of like the INFACT, to be growing in their communities, that we've got to make sure that we have policies that allow that to happen. And so there will be, we'll pull together a committee. I've already talked with Director Messer, this is, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago about this. And so we will bring together a team and we will work on this issue. That's my commitment. All right, thank you. Just as a personal note, for those of you who know me pretty well, I am just so excited. Let me just say, I am just so excited. You know, as a council member, I try to focus on very specific issues and put my time and energy around those issues. And one of those really is the local food action plan. And I am very pleased that we have some amazing people that are working on this plan. And so, but first I need to thank some people, and I think a lot of people in this room, because without each and every one of you, and there's some people that certainly cannot be here, we would not be here celebrating our first year and a half of this plan. So anything I spend my time on, and we've spent 2 years prior, working on this plan, that is not going to sit on a shelf, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to ask people to give 2 years of, I'm not going to ask people to give 2 years of their time to something and then not be willing to support the work. And so I've tried my best for the resources that I have as a council member. Some years we have more money than others, but the key is to use my dollars to support this initiative, and I have two others that I have spent most of my time on. And to do that, I have to, thank some people in this room who truly have done all this great work. I'm just a person that had the opportunity to have a vision and try to lead the work, but you guys have done it, and I am so thankful for that. I've got to thank my partner who is not here, Commissioner John O'Grady, because without him, we would not be able to move this program, the plan forward as we are doing today. I also I thank my colleagues on council who have supported me and the dollars I've been able to spend to be able to focus on this effort. If it weren't for that, I would not be able to say thank you to Cheryl and Jaleesa. Because to have a plan to move forward, you have to have people who are certainly focused on the plan, and they absolutely have been. I have to thank, again, Dr. Teresa Long, who was here when we started the plan. I want to thank her for her leadership. I also want to thank now Dr. Mashika Roberts. There are some other people that are here that are from Columbus Public Health. I know Nancy Bechtel's in the audience. Rebecca Nelson is here. I thank you for your leadership. Today, I also want to thank the Franklin County Local Food Council, because you've been working with all the individuals pretty much who have stood up here today prior to us having this plan. You've been working with them, and thank you for being that voice for us in the community, bringing information to us of what's going on in the field. So I thank you for that, and certainly, so today, Ms. Samadi, just your leadership. Thank you for that. I mentioned my partner, John O'Grady, and certainly we cannot do the work from the side of the commission without Brian Estabrook. And I just thank you, Brian, for your leadership from the county and working with the team from the city of Columbus, because you guys are making it happen. I want to thank Ernest Perry, who's our local food board chair. Anytime I've called on Ernest to say, would you help us out, would you step up, he's always says whatever I can do to be helpful, and he does that, and I thank you. Charles Nabrick, and the local food board member who said he normally is not in the crowd of people not in this crowd. Yes, you are. You deserve to be in the crowd, and that's why you're on the board, and we thank you for being that literally, you said, down in the dirt, in the weeds, getting things done, but also showing your leadership above that. So I thank you for your leadership. I thank Jamie Moore and the Ohio Farmers Market Management Network, the president, as well as the vice president, Michelle White. Thank you for stepping up at a time that was definitely needed. Thank you for what you do each and every day for our markets in the city of Columbus. And your leadership is really important to making things happen. Aaron West from the Community Development for All People, the Healthy Living Director, thank you for what you're doing, not on the south side, but the residents of our city. Joe Brown, thank you so much. We just appreciate the partnership with you as the Food Service Director for the City of Columbus, because every food director may not be able to have the opportunity or want to be able to participate in the food plan and making sure that you're providing healthy food for the students in our community. We know how important healthy food is to our students. It's going to help them to learn, and it's going to help them to be healthy as an individual, but it also affects their learning, and that's what they're in the school for. So I thank you for your leadership, along with your partner there from the Franklin County, Kristin Peters. Thank you for being a health educator, and again, in our community. I also want to thank Angie Lee, who's been out here. She's a soldier, and has been out here for years making sure that individuals, fighting for individuals' health in our community when she was at Mount Carmel Health Systems. And she could have said, you know what, it's time for me just to take a break and retire, and she is not doing that. She is so focused on making sure that she understands the correlation between health and food, and so she's providing her leadership to the Lower Lights Christian Center. And certainly thank you for providing the market, because you know that if people don't have access to healthy food, there's no way they can become healthy. So I thank you for your leadership. Tony Logan, our local food board member, and just so committed to C9, but just to everything in that category, and just your personality to make things happen. I truly appreciate what you're doing, and so thank you. Landon Adams, the Linden Farmers Market Manager, when we started having this conversation about the market, and I knew you. I know your commitment to community, but I also understand that you have the leadership skills to make this work. And so I thank you for stepping up and making things happen in Linden. I also want to mention that, I know this is located in Linden, but I keep saying to people, it's like the Worthington Market, the Clintonville Market, the market at Franklin Park, the Bronzeville Market. These markets are here, but we want people to come from all over to those markets. It is not a market for just a community where it's located. It's a market for the entire city of Columbus and beyond. So I thank you for that. Ty Marsh, my friend, from the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, thank you for your leadership. It was important for you to be on this committee. Who else could be able to be responsible for our Goal D and looking at our food waste? And I just appreciate you and Kyle for taking the leadership on that goal and are going to make great things happen. So I thank you just for your leadership, and look forward to this plan being implemented in January of 2019, and want to be supportive of that. My council members and their staffs, I always want to thank them because they allow me to be able to do this work, and each and every one of them always represent this community with pride every day, and I'm thankful. I see Grant Ames in the room representing Councilmember Mitchell Brown, who could not be with us today, but I appreciate you being here, Grant. I also have to thank the communication staff. We normally have, hearings in council chambers, and we thought that since this is where the council has their meetings, we got to come to you. And so I thank you for that, and I know that it sometimes creates a little bit of, some challenges for our team, but we are here. And I want to thank Lee Cole, the Director of Communications, as well as Cheryl Austin, the Deputy Director of Communications. But I have to thank CTV, because, boy, they go everywhere we ask them, and we don't always go places that are the easiest for them, but they are a hardworking team who make all these hearings possible for individuals who cannot be present to still gather this information. I have to thank my staff, Nicole Harper and Carl Williams. They make me look good just because of all the hard work that they do, if I look good. But anyway, they make me seem to look good, I should say that. And so I just appreciate them. And then finally, I couldn't do this work without the residents of the city of Columbus, who make our city the best place to live, work, and to raise a family. But to this, you guys are a special group. You guys are just a special group. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to work with each and every one of you. I want to say, Ms. Coleman, I see you in the back for the work that you're doing in the Linden community. Thank you for your leadership there. But again, we could not do this work without each and every one of you. Thank you for adjusting your schedules to be here tonight. Thank you for your leadership. And again, if there's any issues or concerns that you have regarding the local food action plan that we need to be focused on, please let us know, because we're here for you. And so thank you, and this hearing is adjourned. Good evening.